Hello, it's Dr. Darnise, and welcome back into another episode. Today we're talking about ghosts, haints, and the non-physical world. Well, y'all know this is Halloween season. This is a season when there is a thinning of the veil between worlds, so it goes. People will say that this is the time where there is this heightened sensibility that we can contact those on the other side, and those on the other side can interact with us. So I'm wondering, have you ever had a ghost experience? So I could share from the family lore, but I'm really interested in your family lore. Are there ghost stories? Are there weird occurrences that people talk about or that people avoid talking about? And so, in Hoodoo culture, because this is still October, Hoodoo Heritage Month, and during this season, then I am continuing to talk about Hoodoo, and that's why I'm talking about the thinning of the veil and ghosts. And Hoodoo, a lot of times ghosts are called Haints. Haint, Haint. Haint. It's a Haint. Now, I remember when I was little, my grandmother, here I am back in Georgia, but so she was in Georgia. My family came up out of Georgia and went to Ohio. Here we are back. But she would tell stories of a witch riding your back at night while you're sleeping, or haints. And then you say, "Well, Grandma, what's a haint?" Well, Great Grandma, what's a haint? Oh, that's a ghost, but it's one that could get you. Now, see, that's what you could tell little kids, right? Like, if you're not good, it's like the boogeyman is going to get you, or, there's like a ghost underneath your bed or some monster under your bed. And so, one of my uncles would tell my youngest cousin, if you're not good, the witch is going to ride you, right? Now, little kids, it's already a challenge to get them to go to bed. But then you tell them that, what? So, of course, my grandmother would tell my uncle, don't tell her that. Don't tell that child that she never will go to sleep. But those are just some of the ways that this Southern culture, this hoodoo conjure culture, seeps its way into so much of our lore, our history, our family history, right? So even though people can say, well, I don't believe in all that, one, why are you on my channel? You don't believe in none of it. But even if you believe in some of it, but you're like, oh, I'm just not sure about the rest of it. There are stories. Do you know any of the stories in your family? And, sometimes they might really be outrageous or whatever, but maybe they're based in something. Where do you come from down south? Right? If you're not, or if you are in the South, tell me where you are. But if you're not, if your family moved up out of the South, where did y'all come from? And did you talk to the old people in your family about these things? Or were there things they didn't want to talk about? Now, another one of my uncles, he has to babysit me a lot. And he would tell me all kind of stories. But people always say he was making everything up. And, I thought he was making up stories to scare me also. But, he made them seem like they came from somewhere. Like when we were down south, when I think about it, they came up out of Georgia before he was that old. So I don't know. I didn't know about that when I was little, but he would say, well, when we were down south and we lived over here and we had this farm, you could see off in the distance. So he would tell me all these stories. And that became part of our culture. But now people don't want to talk about it. People in the city, right? Like, well, no, of course I don't believe in ghosts. Well, let's clarify. What is a ghost? What is a haint? What is the non-physical world? Where does spiritual guidance come from? If you say you pray and you expect an answer, where does that answer come from? Are your ancestors involved? So see, I got questions. hang out with me. So, in some spiritual or metaphysical understandings, a ghost is like the essence of a person that got left behind. So, it's not really a person, they're not really there anymore. But the essence of them has sort of left a skid mark. Like, think about when you pass a skid mark on the side of the road. Now, whatever happened is gone already. Like, the cars are not even there, but there's a skid mark, so you know that something happened. Somebody hit the brakes real hard and it left a mark, but the car is gone. The ghost is like that. Like the imprint, the energetic imprint of a person is there, but they're gone. So, some say that that's all it is. And like that essence or energy of a person is basically, we say stuck. Um, but they're not really stuck. Okay, it gets complicated because they went on, but there's something about their energy that is lingering. Maybe lingering is a better word than stuck. It's lingering. And so when people say, like a house is haunted or someplace is haunted and they've seen a ghost, um, what's interesting is a lot of times that energy or that ghost is reenacting the same thing over and over again. You can't really interact with it. It doesn't interact with you because it really is just the energy stuck in a loop. So, you could say, oh, this house over here is haunted and people have seen this ghost going up and down the steps, or people see the ghost passing in the hallway. And that's all it can do because that's the energy there. And after some period of time, it is going to dissipate. Now, we never know how much time it's going to be, like hundreds of years, it could be. And depending on the trauma associated there, they could make that have an even longer lasting imprint. Like people have said over, like from something like the Civil War, for example, or previous plantations. That energy is really lingering, right? It's stuck there by trauma. So, but a ghost is never going to interact with you. It can't because actually it's just energy that's repeating a pattern. By contrast, now I'm going to say a non-physical sort of spiritual being, non-physical spiritual being that can interact with us. It wasn't in human form. It is not in human form. It is of a non-physical realm. It is not of human realm, right? But it can enter into interaction with us. And so this time period that we call Hallows Eve, All Hallows Eve, when the veil is thinner, then it's more likely that these non-physical entities can interact with us. So in that sense, it's scarier. No? Yes or no? Is that scarier? Yes or no? Because that's where you get a sense that, oh, it's communicating with me, or that notion of a witch is riding you, like somehow or another it can communicate with you, it can touch you, it can harm you, it could help you, but that's a non-physical, non-human, right? Like never was human. And so it opens up all these questions though, like, well, what is it? Of what order is it? Right? So then we get a notion of like, okay, are there angels? Are there demons? I'm going to say there's multiple other orders of beings, entities. Now, for us as humans, they pretty much all seem scary. Like think of the Bible, and every time an angel shows up to a person in the Bible, See if you've ever thought of this, really, really thought of this. What do they say? Fear not. So those angels, when they appear, they know that they look affright. So what am I talking about? So think about Mary, Jesus' mama, Mary, and the Archangel Gabriel appears to her, and like, fear not. Hail Mary, full of grace, blessed art thou among women, the Lord has found favor with thee. And now Gabriel, as the messenger angel, is about to give her this message, right? So anytime we see an angel interacting with a human, the angel says, fear not. So it's not the little cherub that we, draw. It's not, even these big, glorious figures with these big wings. Probably they look pretty scary. And I'm going to say, whatever we call a negative entity probably looks the same way or similar. I don't think they show up and they have like horns and a tail and that kind of thing. I don't know. Do I know? I don't know. But anyway, I'm just going down this sort of like ghostly theme with y'all and thinking about what is the difference between a ghost and what is the difference between a spiritual entity, non-physical spiritual entity that never was human, but can somehow interact with us. And so where does spiritual guidance come from? When you pray and then you feel like you have a response, or when certain people who are mediums, right? And they say that they're picking up on the energy of deceased ones. Who is that or what is that? Someone who can channel, right? Meaning they're receiving guidance from somewhere. And they'll say from my guides. Typically, a channel will say from my guides. I don't know, I'm asking you. And I want to suggest this book to y'all. I don't know if this book is widely available. I'm pretty sure I got it from Amazon because one of my spiritual mentors recommended it to me. It's called Company of Prophets, African American Psychics, Healers, and Visionaries by Joyce Elaine Knoll. And in case it's showing up backwards for y'all, Company of Prophets, African American Psychics, Healers, and Visionaries by Joyce Elaine Knoll. And so in this book, she's talking to people about their experiences as a psychic, a healer, a visionary in some way. So people who have, in this case, Black Americans, really, who have these skills of being a psychic, some kind of spiritual healer, a visionary in some kind of a way. People who talk about their astral projecting and what they find and that kind of thing. Now, I, for one, will share that I can, astral travel, while I sleep, just like get up out of this body and go somewhere. Yes. And it's gotten easier over the years of life. It used to be it was really hard. Like it felt like I was struggling to get out and struggling to get back in. So it was uncomfortable. I didn't feel like I had control of it. It's a thing that I don't feel like I'm skillful enough where I have control over. Like some people can, they purposely, astral travel and, they go everywhere and do things or whatever. I don't feel like I have control. I feel like, it happens when it happens. As I said, now it's easier out, and it is to me, it's a great feeling of being like liberated from the body. It's very light. It's very like, wow, to be sprung from this body, which is so dense and heavy. And if you get out of it, you feel the difference of being just spirit, as opposed to spirit encased in this body. And then coming back into the body, though, can still be like a rough landing. When you are on an airplane and it's a rough landing, it can feel like that, like sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, in channeling, who's there? Is it a being from a more advanced state of evolution? Is it our own higher self that we're tapping into, our own subconscious that is in touch with the divine? Is it some aspect of the divine? Is it God who's being channeled? And are you afraid of it? If you have you ever experienced a channeler? Would you be afraid of it? Would you want to go listen to a channeler? And you can find a bunch of them on, here on YouTube. And probably the most famous channeler these days is Abraham Hicks. So, um, Esther Hicks channels Abraham. And if you know, you know. If you don't, you're like, who's Abraham? Well, YouTube search Abraham Hicks. It'll rock your world. So she's probably the most well known. They are the most well known. There's Cryon. There's Daryl Anka channels Bashar. There's a bunch of them. And so my question to you is, what do you make of it when someone channels from the non-physical? Are you familiar with the law of one and the raw material? RA, the raw material, also called the law of one. They are a spiritual entity that says, we're here to talk about the law of one, which is God. God is one, all is one. So anyway, this has been a little bit of a, just exercise and having us think about during this Hoodoo Heritage Month and this Halloween season, having us to think outside of the physical. You have any ghost stories? Have you seen any? Have you had any interactions? Oh yeah, and then I'll know you're on the long haul team if you can answer this question. What do you like scary movies, and what's the scariest movie you've ever seen? I don't like no scary movie anymore. I used to, and I do not. I cannot take a scary movie. Or I was watching, just rewatching the kind of a silly Halloween movie, Practical Magic from the 90s, and it was with Sandra Bullock. I can't remember who else, but it was not that deep. But it was at the end, it was scary, and I didn't know it was going to be scary. And I fast forwarded. That's how I am. I will fast forward. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to see this, right? And I don't know why I've shifted into being that. Well, maybe I do. I've been opening up my crown chakra more and more, and I think I can't take it. I can't take it. But the scariest one was The Exorcist when I was a kid, when it first came out, and I had no business seeing it then. And now, for whatever reason, why is there a resurgence of interest in The Exorcist? I don't know why. I don't even like to see the ads and stuff. Like people are talking about it again. I don't want to see. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the ad. I don't want to see Linda Blair looking like that. I don't want to see none of it. It just has a very negative charge to me, and I can't go. I can't deal with it. Some people love scary movies. I don't want to be scared like that. No, thank you. All right, so let me know if you're on the long haul team. Thank you for hanging out with me. I look forward to these comments. Ghost stories, family ghost stories. What's your favorite scary movie? What part of the South y'all come from? That kind of thing. So, bye for now.